Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you normally don't hear me say that on our Thursday weekly webinar, but I just completed another Windows XP migration workshop. I'm at Florida International University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Had a great crowd of customers that we've just concluded after lunch. And so I, for once, can say good afternoon to you. It's 1 p.m. on the East Coast. It's 10 a.m. back in sort of the monsoon season of Seattle, where both Heather in the control booth and Donovan Deakin, who I'll introduce in a moment, are based. A little bit of housekeeping. As usual, folks, use the chat feature to ask questions. And this webinar is being recorded, so when you receive our thank you notification, you will receive a replay link to our webinar. And a couple of things coming up. First of all, keep an eye on xpmigrations.com. We have a variety of events going on right now across the country. 5 workshops in Florida this week. We did 4 last week in California. So tonight, if you are in the South Florida area, tonight over in Fort Lauderdale at the Windstream office, we will have the partner exam cram for migrations at 4 p.m. Check out xpmigrations.com. And tomorrow in Miami's customer lunch and learn. And then next week we have Intel scheduled for the weekly webinar. And then in the short Thanksgiving week, it's my intentions to have a special Tuesday webinar because Thursday, of course, in the U.S. is Thanksgiving. With that said, a really good buddy of mine, Donovan Deakin at FiberCloud, is going to join us just in seconds here for the SaaS or PaaS Cloud Opportunity Overview. Love the title. We have worked with FiberCloud for a long time. And you know what's cool is they were early in the game. They helped develop some of the early messaging in the partner community. I would offer, you know, it's for all of us. It's been an evolving message. We are finding that message. We are finding the paradigm for cloud in the channel, and Donovan's going to speak to that. So, sir, with that, and by the way, Donovan, thanks again for helping us out on the panel this fall about a month ago. So sir, Donovan Deakin, what say you? Introduce yourself, and let's get going.
Great. Thank you so much, Harry. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us today and spending part of your day with us. I just wanted to thank you again. And also, it was good to meet you at the SMB Nation in the past 2 years at the fall conference. I really enjoyed getting to know many folks in the community here. So glad to be here today. So to kick off the webinar, I'd like to briefly introduce FiberCloud. We're a nationwide IT and cloud infrastructure provider. We've delivered cloud co-location and connectivity for over 10 years and cloud solutions since 2009. And we've been a pioneer in defining how outsourced IT and cloud infrastructure works in a service provider environment. We've won several awards, including last year at SMB Nation, the HotShot Award for Cloud and Virtualization Products. We're headquartered in Seattle, Washington. And now I'd like to get started with the presentation.
Let's do it.
All right. So as we wrap up 2013, the question is not if there's an opportunity, but what is the opportunity and what type is it as we get into 2014. As with anything these days, there's more than one choice. More often than not, there's a ton to choose from. So for this presentation today, we'll cover customer adoption and trends, channel adoption and trends, how to proceed into 2014, what are some channel partner success stories that we've seen, and then we'll end with some question and answers. So before I outline these choices, let's talk a little bit about the business opportunity. The three big trends in IT right now that we're hearing a lot about are the cloud, mobile, and big data. There's a lot of data here. So we're going to quickly cover market size, customer and end user trends, and some predictions for 2014.
Very cool.
And then starting here, we're looking at the overall U.S. spending, and it reflects a variety of different cloud-based services. It includes software as a service. These numbers reflect applications that are used within enterprises, but not consumer-based services. It also includes the bigger segment of infrastructure as a service. Typically, you see these sold as cloud servers. And then in total, spending for 2014, total revenues will reach about $15.7 billion, which will be a big increase from 2013. And then in 2015, spending is projected to increase by at least 30%, exceeding $21 billion. For the next, so very big opportunity here, a lot of growth in terms of spending. And even, this is clearly, there's obviously a lot of buzz in the media, but we're clearly seeing growth and adoption in the marketplace here. For the cloud, there's a lot of discussion around large enterprises and consumer services. And while many of the vendors are focused on large enterprise, with large enterprise companies, typically maybe over 100 plus, the bulk of the market is with small to mid-sized companies and not what we call non-employer businesses. This includes, the 21.7 million sole proprietors, like direct sales reps, management consultants, engineers, school tutors, home health care providers, often, people that have maybe left a larger company, a corporate environment, and struck out on their own. And then you have over 6 million small to mid-sized businesses. Many of these small to mid-sized businesses make up the vast number of businesses in terms of people out there and different market verticals, whether they are healthcare, retail, professional services. There's a variety out there. And with any new IT area, technologies and applications get proven out in large companies, and then they flow down into the small to medium businesses. And if we look at actual cloud spending for non-employers, micro, small to medium businesses, and traditional small to medium businesses, we see definite adoption of cloud servers and continued opportunities for specialized providers with existing relationships. There's two observations to consider. The sweet spot are SMBs with less than 50 employees. They typically don't have a dedicated IT professional on staff. They'll mostly have PCs, some broadband connectivity, and a central server, which is either owned and deployed on-premise or perhaps hosted. Most of these firms will spend their IT dollars on a website. Firms with over 50 employees will typically have a dedicated IT staff member, and that can also help facilitate the sale as well. In either case, all the segments, large or small, continue to spend on the cloud. And then as we look, some of the market research that we've done, we found an excellent report working with CompTIA, who I know many of you are familiar with. They published their fourth annual Trends in Cloud Computing report in August of 2013. And CompTIA conducted this research through a couple ways. They did quantitative online surveys, first going after just over 500 IT and business professionals in the U.S. that are involved in decision making. You could call these folks end customers or end users. And then they actually went out into the channel and did a survey of over 400 IT firms in the United States. So there's a mix of both end customer and channel in the data that I'm presenting you for here. And channel firms are seeing an overwhelming demand for cloud services right now. It's a hot topic in the press, and there's a lot of adoption going on, and we're seeing that in our own channel right now. And then, the reason for this is because these solutions address real business issues and opportunities, cost advantages, reduced IT, reduced complexity in hardware where they need support, and then enabling mobility, being able to ramp up to new business applications much quicker, and really putting their focus on their core business and not on the technology. And then what we're seeing are two overlapping trends. At first, with the economy, we're in the 5th year of the Great Recession. We've seen some recovery, but growth is still very small and very fragile. Companies have had to cut costs to match their lower demand. For their IT infrastructure and hardware, typically companies have had a 3-year amortization and replacement cycle, and they've actually been pushing those to 5 years, and they're now starting to come due. Should they invest in new hardware or go to the cloud when that server is starting to near its end of life? And then this is the next wave of technology. If we go back in time, We started with mainframes in the 60s. These were, customized solutions for large enterprises. And then as we evolved into the 80s, client server really came in and really took off in the 90s. You really started to see standards-based solutions and growing adoption by small to medium businesses here. And then, the third wave is the cloud. And this, you have solutions for businesses of all sizes. So what I'd also like to do is look at how are customers using the cloud today. And so the first use is for IT infrastructure, having servers for their business applications. Again, talking about that, they may, in many cases, we see companies with a small server that is very, that may be reaching its end of life, and they need a cost-effective replacement for that. We also see a variety of business applications deployed in a software as a service model. And so these are core communication services for a business. Email, web presence, collaboration are key applications, and many of these have been the first and earliest for people to adopt. And while large enterprises have adopted the cloud, mid-sized businesses have adopted at an even higher rate, and smaller businesses are continuing to show growing adoption of these services here. And then I think we have to look at another trend with cloud is the strong focus on business and versus IT infrastructure. While IT in many companies have approved 54% of cloud solutions, they did not for about 10% of the purchases. Furthermore, they were only consulted for about 36% of the purchases. And that consulting could be on integration into their existing environment as well as security. While IT is driving initiatives for technology across a company, such as communications, collaboration, business units themselves are driving adoption of their own business applications. The channel partner will need to adapt to the changing buying roles that are out there. So the buyer is changing. It's not just going to be an IT person and the specifications and the cost for the IT manager, but it'll be a solution that's really focused on the end user, on the business process, and that's going to be the buyer, a business manager. Supporting that business process is what's going to drive many applications, and this is true for some of the applications in terms of line of business, financial management, HR management type of applications here. And then I think for the channel, what's really important is that the cloud has gotten enormous traction with end customers. It's also getting growing traction within the channel provider's product portfolio. So what we're seeing here is, over 1/3 of channel partners derive up to 50% of their revenue from cloud services, and then nearly 30% are obtaining a majority of their revenue from cloud-related sales. And then what's really exciting is looking at next year. The expected revenue growth, 82% expect continued growth, with over a quarter expecting significant 15% or more growth. So there's definitely a very big growing revenue opportunity for the channel here. And while we've been looking at new customer app adoption in the cloud, there's early adopters who are looking at switching providers. This market opportunity is growing at a very tremendous rate. Adopters are not afraid to switch providers if they have concerns about services, costs, or features offered by the original provider. In many cases, as a channel provider, you might find yourself working with a customer who has some of these concerns and is looking to change to a solution, a new solution that's going to better meet their needs. So early providers in many cases have had growing pains in terms of offering new technology and moving forward with it. And then if we look at the challenges for the channel, there's been, again, tremendous adoption and growth by both customers and channel partners. We should look at challenges for the channel and in terms of further adoption and how those can be overcome. And when you look at these challenges, you can really summarize them into 3 buckets. There's, gaining the expertise in terms of sales and technology, developing the right business model, and then growing from your base. How do you actually get there? So the real numbers for cloud adoption, continue to look good. Revenue is continuing to grow in the overall cloud services marketplace. Small to medium businesses are continuing to show great interest in cloud services. So now, how do you get started? So we saw the main challenges for the channel partner to adopt the cloud. Here's how they address the issues. I would say that the best approach is to really look at the last challenge, deciding which vendor to work with. That can help you overcome these other challenges in many ways. So when looking for a cloud solution provider, what should you have an eye out for? It really depends on your particular business needs. But here's something to consider. When you partner with a big name cloud solution provider, once the product is sold, your customer may no longer be yours. They take over and own that customer relationship. You want a partner who enables your customer service to shine through and will support you behind the scenes to show your businesses in the best light possible. You want to present your customers with a solution that meets their needs and to be confident that the solution is proven, reliable, and dependable. And then you should ask yourself this question. Does your partner provide you with the sales support you need to be successful? Your ideal partner should not only help you with the basics, whether it's responding to an RFP, quote building, but they should also provide you with a complete set of product and sales training, be able to join you on sales calls, and offer you an internal champion who's there to watch out for your best interests. And your partner should provide you with things such as branded collateral, product images and logos, email and direct mail templates, and even support. And those are all aimed at having you overcome some of these challenges that we mentioned previously. You also need to be able to have quick access to your cloud solutions to troubleshoot and support your customers. You should know if your cloud partner has a secure partner portal, to be able to access information for yourself, access to technical support. They should have processes and workflows in place to help with billing, order processing, and documentation. And then you need to be able to easily get a hold of your partner as well. Will you actually talk to a human being or a machine when you need to call with an urgent matter? Which would you prefer? And then a cloud service partner, they can help you with understanding cloud solutions, the underlying technology as well as the marketing and sales support that's necessary to provide a solution to your customers. Getting solutions in hand quickly, looking at your existing customer base and focusing in on a specific software as a service offering. And then as you build expertise, you can expand your solution offerings. That's a great way that many partners will get started. As you saw in the growing customer adoption, there's still a competitive market. And just as time to new business applications is important for the end customer, time to market is critical for your business. So how quickly can you get something implemented for your customer? And then with the right partner, as you expand into new markets, the technology and the solution is already available to you. Just as a business can focus on their application and not the underlying technology, you can really put the focus on your sales and marketing. And finally, we're all looking at growing our businesses as quickly and effectively as possible. So depending on your requirements in your existing customer base, a hosted portfolio such as the one FiberCloud offers may make sense. We focus on getting our partners to market faster so you can meet challenging market conditions. Because demand for cloud products is increasing, our portfolio includes products you may not need today, but allows you to quickly ramp up when needs change. Our goal is to help partners secure and expand their customer base, explore new upsell and cross-sell opportunities. Our product team is always vetting new technologies to add to the product portfolio. And our goal is to build lasting partnership and to become an extension of your business. This helps you focus on your core business. Now I want to run through some examples of how we've worked with partners at FiberCloud. So this company really shows how an existing business can augment their solutions for their customer base. They offer an opportunity, they have an opportunity for a recurring relationship with the customer rather than an ad hoc interaction that you would see in a break-fix model. They've started with online backup to incorporate it into their desktop service and support offerings. And the cloud-based solutions are enticing since there's a large geographical area along with the risk of extreme weather like hurricanes. So you get some built-in business continuity and disaster recovery here, which is very exciting. This next company is a 30-year-old hardware, network, and managed services provider who is starting to see cloud-based competition in their customer base. The customers were asking about it or perhaps considering adopting it. They've been the IT provider for many long-standing small to medium business customers and have operated with a very strong reputation for outstanding and proactive services. Their customers see them as a guide for technology, and they benefit from enhancing and adding value to current solutions. So adding cloud solutions allows them to continue owning their customers. This partner has integrated business class email into their managed services. They now have Exchange mailboxes, and this includes some of the services they wrap around it, migration, provisioning users, and now their small business customers get the same benefits from Microsoft Exchange and Outlook that a large enterprise would have, but they're only having to pay a small business price. And then the partner is able to add this rich functionality to enhance their offering very quickly, and they didn't have to worry about any upfront investment or any capital cost to do so. And so as a result, they're able to adapt their service offerings to retain existing customers, and then they're well positioned for expansion to new markets. And this next company is another 30-year-old company who has been providing their customers hardware, network, and managed services solutions. And they basically have got to a point where they were looking to expand their customer base, add new services, and they came to a decision point. Do they buy, build, or partner in terms of gaining these new services? They looked at the costs of building out expanded data center capacity and infrastructure, and based on that, they elected to take the partner approach. They've integrated services such as backup, email, and SharePoint into their existing managed services. The cloud services enable them to retain customers, and they're able to open up new recurring revenue streams with their clients in the Boise area. And then this next company is a company that's an example of a business who really pivoted to focus on cloud services. The company has had an install base of small to medium business customers using email, line of business applications, but they were looking to avoid capital costs and looking for something more cost effective, as many of them were becoming more price sensitive due to the economic conditions. This customer, this partner has provided end-to-end services to administer servers, install applications, and configure new users. And so as a result, he can add these new services for his install base and continue to serve them. He's positioned to add new customers without any major costs for infrastructure, without having to hire a lot of new employees. And it's all done on a very repetitive basis. He's minimizing the implementation time and the resources needed. So he'll take a cloud server and he'll basically start provisioning it with applications, with users, and he'll start running it end-to-end, being the server administrator. And he's done a nice job of creating a repetitive model to support this. And then a big part of his reason for this pivot is that he's really enabled him to design the business to integrate with his lifestyle. He even does support calls while he's out on his bike. So really, in this case, it was a lifestyle business that he was able to really develop and evolve into as a result of these services. And then this last example, this is a long-term IT solution provider where they're working with businesses who may be starting from scratch or reconfiguring an existing system. They serve a variety of different businesses, whether it's healthcare, nonprofits, engineering firms. Their services range from an analysis of the business problems and requirements through the process of design, implementation, and ongoing management of IT solutions for their customers. Given the nature of their solutions, they often need to select specific services they need to implement into a solution for their customer and do so at a cost-effective manner. This could be adding Exchange mailboxes into an offering for their customers as part of a desktop solution, or perhaps they're building a SharePoint application and they need the flexibility of having a cloud server infrastructure to run that SharePoint application. As a result, they have the flexibility they need to provide these end-to-end services and select what's going to be the best match for that particular customer solution. So in closing, there's still a great opportunity for you to get into the cloud marketplace. Many organizations, small and large, are adopting the cloud. And I think the key for you is really finding the right partner to help learn, help support you, both technically as well as marketing and sales-wise, and to accelerate your time to market. Get out there much faster than you would otherwise. At FiberCloud, we'd love to talk to you about how we can help and build your business in the future. And I really like to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you all and to start and see if you have any questions that we can answer for you. We will be following up with you in an email, and we will be sending you the CompTIA 4th Annual Trends in Cloud Computing Report. That does present the data that I was showing earlier, as well as a lot of other very good data about this market opportunity. And so with that, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions from the audience.
Okay, so thank you very much, Donovan. And let's see, folks, this is your opportunity. We are at the bottom of the hour. So what I would offer is a very efficient and effective webinar. So it is time for questions. Please use the chat feature to ask the questions you have, and I would appreciate it. Heather will be able to pass those on to Donovan and myself. So folks, let's get typing. Quite frankly, I think it was a pretty comprehensive overview. So I'm sure there's a few questions, but I could also appreciate if, Donovan, it's never a bad sign if all the questions were answered in advance, if that makes sense.
Sure.
There we go. Okay, so it looks like there's a couple questions queued up. Donovan, it looks like you're now in possession of those questions. Sir, would you like to both ask and answer?
Sure. So I think one question that came in is, are the slides available? There will be a recording of the webinar, and we will definitely have the slides available there. And then again, the reports from CompTIA that we'll be sending out, much of the material gained for this presentation was from there as well. Any other questions from the audience here? I do see one question. How does migration work for my customers when they're moving from an on-premise solution to the cloud? Well, first of all, I'd say that migration is a great value-added service that you can provide to your customers, kind of facilitating the whole solution from end to end. What we typically see are partners with an infrastructure as a service solution. They might install applications on the cloud server for the customer, perhaps their line of business application, their accounting application. They could do the end-to-end administration of the server, adding user accounts, doing some of the Active Directory type work, configuring firewall rules and VPN connections to their existing network, and then moving data over from their on-premise system to the cloud server is one example. Another one would be with email, which is a common one we see. And we have a migration process in place where we're able to move data over, whether it's moving PST files over, for email data for Exchange, coordinating the cutover for MX records. We have a process in place that we work with our partners, and if we would basically work with you to determine the customer's requirements and environment, and then outline a process for you moving forward. So I think that's a good question to ask of any cloud provider, and it's a great opportunity for you to add more margin. And I see a second question. Oh, go ahead, Harry.
No, I was going to say that makes sense. It's a common conversation about the migration thing, and it's a topic unrelated, but not a topic near and dear to my heart with the Windows XP migration tour I've got going on now. And Donovan, I think migrations are disruptive. in
Yes.
an organization, and it has the effect of allowing us to have a great conversation right now at FiberCloud. If you're going to disrupt the IT infrastructure of the small business appropriately by eradicating Windows XP and going up to often Windows 7, and folks, I'd encourage you to give Windows 8 a fair shake. Donovan, it puts everything on the table, and so quite frankly, your timing's pretty good, but I appreciate the tip of the hat to the migration conversation, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's always a good question to talk about. Another question is, how do I address my customers' concerns over data ownership? And so when you're selecting a cloud provider, you want to make sure that you have a relationship and a process and a service that you're enabled to gain access to the data when needed. In many cases, you're going to have control over that. For example, with infrastructure as a service solutions, you would typically, in many cases, partners will administer the cloud server for their customers. So they'll be moving the data in and moving the data out as they need to and have access at all times. And then with any software as a service-based solution, you want to make sure that you have that ability to export the data when needed, or that the cloud provider is able to assist you with that as well. So I think that's definitely something that would be a good question here. Another question in from the audience, what about security and privacy? And so this is a great question. SaaS 70, Safe Harbor, and HIPAA compliancy. So I think first of all, this is a great part of your selection process, is has that customer been through a third-party audit of their business and of their data center environment? So you'll see this in the form of SaaS 70, Type 2 audits, SSAE 16, in the form of what type of safe harbor agreements do they have. Many providers will publish this. And then how are they able to support HIPAA compliancy? So looking at somebody that has the secure infrastructure, and whether it's physical infrastructure with limited access control, having the video surveillance, to software solutions such as backup, ensuring that there's strong encryption in place. Those are things that the cloud provider do to support compliancy. And then I think in terms of the question about business associate agreements with healthcare providers in terms of HIPAA, I think one approach to consider is, and this is something that came up at SMB Nation, the fall conference this year, is to look at having a business associate with the cloud provider that you would have. And then in many cases, since you're actually working directly with the customer's data and have a larger scope than the cloud provider, you would have a business associate agreement with your healthcare provider customers that require that for their HIPAA compliance. That would probably be the best way to go about doing that. Any other questions?
Donovan, I'm not seeing on my side additional questions. Folks, let's make this perhaps, excuse me, forgive me. Let's make this the last call for questions for today's webinar for FiberCloud. So within the next few seconds, next 10, 15 seconds, if you have a question, please ask the questions now. We'll see if any come in across the stream, Donovan, and away we go, sir. So while you're forming, yeah, Donovan, go ahead.
Yeah, one last question. Can you sync with on-prem servers? So the answer is, yeah, in many cases you can. And I think that's the way I look at that is, can you have a hybrid solution? There's many businesses in many cases that require a hybrid solution. So for example, they may have infrastructure as a service. They may have a cloud server that they're using as a file server and need to access from applications and desktops on premise. So having a VPN type offering where you can have that secure tunnel to allow that integration, so perhaps you could map a drive to that server. Perhaps it's a backup solution where you're able to back up your on-premise servers to a cloud backup solution. That's a great first step in terms of providing disaster recovery. So yeah, definitely in most cases, many of the solutions out there are going to enable you to have a hybrid environment. In many cases, for customers, they're still going to have on-premise resources that they would integrate with their with their cloud solutions. And again, that integration point is another area where you as the partner, as a channel partner working with your customer, are able to provide that additional value for them.
Very cool. Donovan, over on my side, the deck is clear.
Yeah, I've got all the questions that I've seen come through cleared up.
Okay, great. Well, if you don't mind, let's start to wrap it up. And first of all, Donovan, thank you so much for joining us. It's just really cool that we have the discipline and the consistency of a weekly webinar. The audience counts on it, and appreciate you providing educational value today. That's really cool about the CompTIA study. Will there be an opportunity with the follow-up thank you mail to maybe learn more about the CompTIA study and some other resources? Is that something you could do?
Yeah, absolutely. We will send the CompTIA report in the follow-up email. So you will be getting that full report, and I think there's a lot of, I just showed a subset of the data that's in there, so there's a lot more great information that you can use moving forward with that. So you'll definitely, everyone in the audience will definitely be getting a copy of that.
Okay, super. So folks, once again, if you're in southern Florida, in just a few hours, 4 p.m. Eastern, we're meeting over in Fort Lauderdale for the evening migration certification workshop. Tomorrow, customer event, lunch and learn down in Miami. Next week, Portland, Oregon on Tuesday, Seattle on Thursday. And I do believe we take Thanksgiving week off before heading to a host of cities that you can see at xpmigrations.com. And next week on the webinar, we're scheduled to have a chit chat with Intel, and I look forward to seeing you then. So with not much further ado, folks, have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.